Hello and welcome to our new show, #ProblematicWomen. My name is Kelsey Harkness, and today I am joined by Genevieve Wood, senior contributor here at the Daily Signal. Genevieve, thank you for joining us, particularly because you really have no idea what you are about to get into.
I know. When I was asked to be on the show, I'm like, is it because I'm problematic? Why am I a guest on the show?
Yes, and you actually just got back from a vacation.
I did, where I watched very little news.
Yes, so we're gonna maybe test you throughout this show.
Okay.
See how closely you've been paying attention to the news on this vacation. We're also going to highlight some of the most problematic women of the week. Which is a fun segment. So we'll see. This is a new show. Definitely leave us a comment whether or not you like it, whether or not we should continue it, do it every week. But let's kick it off with starting with a brief explainer about what is a problematic woman. So to give you some background, about 2 weeks ago, I came across an article in Elle magazine, a women's magazine, that with a headline that read, how do we criticize problematic women? And below that headline was a picture of Ivanka Trump, Megyn Kelly. We had Angela Merkel and Kellyanne Conway are all problematic women, according to Elle magazine. And basically, a problematic woman is a conservative or right-leaning woman who really doesn't subscribe to this so-called far-reaching feminist ideology. Problematic women are problems because these feminist women who supposedly exist to empower women don't know how to properly criticize them, because I think they realize they're being a little hypocritical in doing so. And so when I came across this, I had to write an article in the Federalist for it, because it just kind of perfectly explains sort of how we feel like we fit into the feminist movement, women sort of on the right end of things. We feel like we don't properly fit in. We really, in their minds, are problems that need to be fixed.
We need to think more like they do. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I love the term problematic women, because it just, where they come up with these labels, I don't know. But you're right, Kelsey. I mean, the reality is those on the left, those whether they want to be called progressive, whatever they're calling themselves this week or this year, is they want all women to think alike. And basically, if you don't think like the editors of Cosmopolitan magazine or Glamour or Democratic National Committee, Women's Leadership Conference, or whichever liberal group it happens to be, if you don't think like they do, culturally, politically, have their same beliefs and share their values, then somehow you aren't a real woman, or
you're a problem.
You're a problem, and that you're right. You're a problem that needs to be fixed. You need to start thinking differently. But the reality is, they try to do it to every group. They try to do it to, if you're African American, they think all African Americans should think the same way. If you're a woman, all women should think the same way. But I'm really glad they did the article, and I'm glad you picked up on it, because you're showing just the hypocrisy of all of it.
Yes, well, we're going to move into our first segment, but really the crux of my argument here is problematic women should actually embrace the fact that we are problematic, because I think women, and any group for that matter, has never made progress without being problems. So I'm actually personally proud to be a problematic woman.
A stir.
And I think you should be too. Let us know if you feel that way. So to kick off our first segment, we're going to go over the problematic women of the week. Let's see what happened last week in the news. Our first problematic woman is, drum roll please, Lindsay Lohan.
Wow.
This was a tweet she put out. This is our president. Stop bullying him and start trusting him. Thank you personally for supporting the USA. So clearly it's very problematic when we have, I don't know, is she like a B-list celebrity?
It depends.
I don't know.
Well, any celebrity, anybody in Hollywood who says something like this. I was actually surprised. I had to go back and look and see, was she somebody who had been, because I looked at her Facebook page and she describes herself as an activist, but I've never seen her come out and be active for other causes necessarily, though I'm sure there's some. But the fact that anybody in Hollywood is supporting President Trump must be very problematic.
This was a surprise to me, but she certainly caused quite a stir with this tweet. So she's problematic. Moving on to our next problematic woman of the week, one of the OGs, Ivanka Trump.
And why is she an OG? What does that mean?
She is one of the original problematic women. Her face was in this Elle magazine article, which was just so ironic coming from a women's magazine, calling Ivanka Trump, who is in the White House, actually advocating on behalf of women's issues, they still view her as problematic. And this week she was in the news for a few reasons. The first time I saw her really in the news was about her push for maternity leave. She wants 6 weeks of paid maternity leave. And this apparently, interestingly enough, I want to get your take on this. This has been problematic not just among liberals who don't think that she's going far enough in her proposal. It's also a problem among some conservatives who kind of view this as another form of government overreach. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't think the government ought to be mandating and regulating businesses on their time off policies and the like. And the reason I don't is because we've seen other countries do this, and it doesn't actually end up benefiting women in most cases. It actually harms everybody in the workforce. It's kind of like the minimum wage thing, giving a hike. It sounds great on paper, but when you start looking at the policy details and how it plays out for businesses, it's not always ideal. But having said that, this is a perfect example, Kelsey, of, she has some positions that they consider conservative, so they don't like that. She has some positions that probably are considered to the left of the center, and so conservatives won't like that. But the reality is, why don't those so-called feminists applaud the fact that Donald Trump is listening to his daughter, is listening to a woman? Every other time it's a woman involved in the White House, usually with past administrations, they think it's great that they're taking advice from women, but they hate Trump so much that and the fact that she's ever taken any position that they don't consider their type of policy, they want to dismiss it.
Exactly. Well, highly problematic at that. I think we're going to probably see Ivanka up here a few more times if we continue this show.
I have a guess. You're right.
We will see. The last problematic woman of the week was the first lady from Poland. This was at the this was right before the G20 summit when President Trump made a very strategic stop in Poland, made a very strong speech there.
He did. Reagan-esque.
And this picture in this video went like viral on Twitter so quickly. Everybody thought that she was avoiding shaking President Trump's hand when really she was just going to shake Ivanka Trump's hand. It was no big deal.
Right. It was almost like while her husband was shaking President Trump's hand, she just went ahead and went to Ivanka, who was just standing there. She came back, and of course, they don't show, most of the places didn't show the full video that show her coming back and shaking the president's hand, or the fact that her husband later sent out a tweet saying, "Help us fight fake news," because my wife did shake the president's hand. Yes. But this is, whether it's Ivanka, it doesn't matter who it is, Lindsay Lohan, anybody who gives Trump any attaboy, thank you, praise, or agrees with him on anything they think is problematic. If you're a woman, man, alien, doesn't matter. They think you're a problem if you have anything nice to say about the president.
Exactly, and I do think it's funny that the president of Poland came back and corrected the record on that and actually called out the fake news. And this is, how many times this week have we seen actual fake news, fake stories get retracted and have to get rolled back? So this is just another example of that. Speaking of, we have one more segment to get to before one of my favorites. We're going to actually do a whole segment on real or fake news. But first, we want to play you an interview that we did with Sarah Gibson, a student at the University of Central Florida. She is the executive director of the College of Republicans. And I wanted to get a sense of what it's like these days in this political environment being a problematic woman on campus. So we interviewed Sarah, and let's give it a watch. So, hi, Sarah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Can we start out with you giving us a brief introduction about yourself and some background?
Absolutely. So my name is Sarah Gibson. I'm the current executive director of College Republicans at University of Central Florida. I'm heading into my sophomore year studying pre-law with a minor in intelligence and national security. And I also have some background in campaigning, grassroots activism, all those.
And I have to tell our audience listening right now, it's such a funny story about how we came to now be Skyping with each other after I posted a commentary on the whole problematic woman story. you emailed me because one of the pictures that we used in that commentary is a picture of college students wearing these adorable red Republican skirts, and you were one of the people pictured in that picture. We can pull it up, show our audience at some point. But after you saw yourself in that video, you emailed me, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need to interview Sarah and find out what is it like these days to be a problematic woman on college campuses.
Definitely. It's definitely an uphill battle, that's for sure. Just a brief overview of my campus in general. I'm really fortunate to go to a school that has administration that makes sure that our conservative organizations know that we're just as important as any other registered organization, but there's always problems when it comes to individual professors and students. People are unable to separate personal political beliefs and their public responsibility to educate others, and then you have students that want to take away freedom of speech because it disagrees with their policies and their agendas. So.
Well, it's great to see people like you holding them accountable. I have to ask, what went through your mind when you first heard that we have women's magazines, women, female writers, calling conservative and Republican women really problems that need to be fixed?
I think it's absolutely disrespectful to women. You have these people that claim that they're empowering women, but in the process they're tearing down anyone who disagrees with them. That's not productive, and that's not respectful to women as a whole. You want to have disagreement and diversity of thought, especially when it comes to politics, and to try to silence and ignore the existence in general of conservative women is only going to hurt them in the end, to be honest.
All right, last question, really quick. How do you think the Trump administration has been doing about 6 months in? Are you supportive of his administration, and what issues are important to you?
Absolutely. I'm definitely very passionate about the issue of life, which again ties in a lot to women and their empowerment and everything. So I am very pleased with the Trump administration. Mike Pence spoke at the March for Life. That was amazing to have the vice president actually speak in person there. So on an issue that's personal to me, I'm very happy. In general, I'm also very pleased with the Trump administration. I think they're definitely trying to get things done. In Washington, that's hard to do. You have to have people compromise and agree and come to terms on things. That's always a challenge. Not everyone's going to agree. But I am very pleased that he's been making a lot of progress in Washington. And I'm very pleased with the rest of his administration as well for sticking to their campaign promises.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you the best of luck being a young, intelligent, problematic woman on campus. We will definitely have to catch up with you and see how things are going later in the year, but thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me.
We want to thank Sarah for that interview. Very intelligent young lady. She's also ROTC, which I don't believe she mentioned, but she has a very bright future ahead of her. And if you are a college student and feel that you are a problematic woman on campus, definitely follow me on Twitter. Send me a tweet. We would love to hear from you and get a sense of what it's like on college campuses in this political environment causing problems. But now, Genevieve, moving on to our next segment, and
very excited about
this. Favorite, real or fake. This is a game where Genevieve has to guess whether the headlines that we're about to show you are real or fake headlines. We actually made some of them up. So she has our little sign here, and the first headline is "The story of Paddington Bear is the story of a refugee from Vox."
Okay, so the question is this a made-up headline or a true headline? The story of Paddington Bear is a story of a refugee. I'm going to say true, because I think that would be hard to make up.
That is true. One point for Genevieve.
Okay, one.
All right, next. A newborn's gender was declared non-binary for the first time. Real or fake?
I don't even know what that means. It's like,
so they don't have a gender. Like when they were born,
all right.
They don't have a gender.
I'm still going to go with true.
You're right. It's true. That's a true headline this week. A baby was born, and the parents did not give that baby, declared that baby was non-binary.
How do they know it's non-binary?
Yeah.
See, when things are really crazy, I'm going to say true, because how could you make that up? Okay,
well, that's where we are in the world today. Next headline. Amazon to give women 10% discount on Prime items to make up for growing pay gap.
I'm going to say that's fake.
Fake.
You know why? Not that Amazon would not like to do that from a public relations standpoint, but they're not going to give up their bottom line. I'm sorry. They don't care about women that much. I don't believe it.
Well, they're the ones who always say they do care about women.
I know,
so maybe
but
we
see,
actually...
when it comes to putting your money where your mouth is, they don't do it.
Well, maybe we should send over that headline idea to Amazon.
You should send it over to them.
All right, next headline. Fish becoming transgender from contraceptive pill chemicals being flushed down household drains from the Telegraph.
This is so insane. Okay, I'm going to say fake.
Wrong. That story is true. That story I actually have seen around the interwebs for a few weeks now.
I'm going to go look that up.
Yeah, and we have another one along those lines for our next one. I believe this might be our last one. Trees in the Amazon rainforest found to be gender fluid. That one I believe is
It was so crazy. I thought it had to be true. Okay.
I'm sure it won't be long before that actually is true. So don't you worry. We have one more. Transgender activists. Straight men should work through non-attraction to transgender women from The Blaze.
I'm trying to think about what it means. Like, straight men should work through non-attraction.
So if a straight man is not attracted to someone who is born male but identifies as a female,
I'm going to say it's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Not that it's true they should do that, but it's true that a transgender activist would suggest they do that.
And so now they're saying it is really on straight men to work through the fact that you are not sexually, emotionally attracted to someone who is born biologically a male. We have another one, actually. Linda Susar, who, for those who don't know who she is, she was one of the founders of the Women's March. Mm-hmm. So Linda Susar asked Muslims to form jihad against Trump and not to assimilate.
I say it's true.
So that is true. And that article, I watched the video. I was pretty shocked by that. And then adding to it, the founders of the Women's March are in the process of organizing a march, a protest against the NRA, where they're going to march from the NRA to the Justice Department. I found it very ironic, these two competing headlines, where they're, on one hand, I guess, advocating against guns, protesting.
But this is against Trump, so that's okay.
Exactly.
That's why I knew it was true, because it was exactly like something she would have said. Exactly like something.
Well, I'm sure our listeners have a lot of thoughts on that article. But that is a wrap for our first Problematic Women show. I want to encourage you all to tweet using the hashtag Problematic Women. If you are a problematic woman, definitely let us know. Definitely let us know if you think that there are more problematic women out there and we need to continue this show.
And maybe nominate your favorite problematic woman.
Yes. And also, I have a special surprise to show everybody. We actually, our good friends over the Federalist got Problematic Woman t-shirts made recently.
I love this.
I have one. I tweeted out a picture of me in it the other day. But believe it or not, these t-shirts sold out in less than 24 hours.
There's a lot of problematic women out there, so you know.
Apparently there are. So the Federalist is actually ordering more shirts, and they're actually making it in a tank top style, something you can wear to yoga, which the inner yoga instructor and me is very excited about that. But if you want one of these t-shirts or one of the tanks that are coming out, the Federalist is getting more, so definitely head to their website. You will see them on the front page, thefederalist.com. They have some great problematic women over there. You might want to read their content. They seem to always be causing problems over there.
They're the original problematic women.
Well, thank you, Genevieve, so much.
Thank you very much for having me on. The inaugural show. I love it. Thank you.
Problematic Woman show. Thank you all for tuning in. Let us know if you like this show and if you think we should continue it. We had a great time with it, so we appreciate you joining us, and we will see you on Monday.